Here's exactly how I focus while running a YouTube channel, a free community, a coaching program, school, and as well as having a social life. There's three main sections to this. The third part is the most important. So if you actually want to know how I focus and improve your focus in the process, keep watching. The first part is eating the frog. The basic concept of this is if you had to have a frog before or after a meal, what time would you eat the frog if you had to have it as, let's say, a punishment? The correct answer is you would have it before. Reason because if you ate your meal knowing that you had to eat a frog afterwards, you wouldn't be able to enjoy your meal because you knew there was this daunting thing that you needed to do afterwards. So every single day before I decide to work, I figure out what is the hardest task that I need to do. And I do that at the start of the day, right afterwards I wake up, leading me for like the rest of the day to be very less stressful. Reason because I've done the most hardest task in the morning. Part 2, environmental fixing. This is one of the biggest cheat codes you can have as just to improve your focus, because you can improve your internal states like your attention span, but that takes time. Your external states can be fixed in a very fast procedure, just like your environment. Obviously, don't try to study while your cat is on you. There's three main parts of this, which is interruptions, visual, and auditory. Okay. For interruptions, I would say this is the golden key. If you can't control your interruptions, there's no point in even studying, or you're not going to have the best focus. But if you can control your interruptions, everything else you can sort of put it past the sidelines. This is, I would say, one of the most important things to manage in your environment, okay? Make sure you don't have social media. Make sure you don't have your phone having notifications on and your phone is beside you. Make sure you don't have notifications on your laptop. I don't know if that exists. Don't have any notifications. Make sure your family can disturb you. If you're studying in a library, make sure you go to a library where your friends aren't there annoying you or anything. Like you don't want any interruptions. Interruptions will put you out of flow and it will distract you even more than you being distracted by your work not being easy enough. Okay, for visual, let me give you an example. If, let's say, you have to study, but your books are right over here, right on your desk, but if you just look up, you just had this view outside your window, would you be able to focus? Most people wouldn't be able to, including me. Reason because every single time I look up, I have a beautiful house. I personally just picture this being actual real. Or if I had like a bunch of art pieces up on my wall, which I don't. This sort of references to you having a bunch of posters up on your wall of like maybe album covers or some other things, or like any type of posters, because they are all going to distract you furthermore and they're going to cause a lot of visual clutter for you, and that's something that you need to remove, which is why I always found these study with me videos of people studying in front of a window, and in front of the window there's like a bunch of traffic. I'd just get distracted. Whenever I find my work too hard, I'll just look out the window because it's that interesting. So, don't have too much clutter. What I mean by this, don't have anything on your desk that you don't need. If you don't need 6 books at once, which normally you don't multitask obviously. Don't have 6 books, and then don't have your phone on your desk obviously. Make sure you study without Wi-Fi, and make sure you don't have any posters up on your wall. Personally, for me, all I have is legit a mock routine, a habit tracker, and a quote from Benjamin Franklin. That's all that's on my wall, which leads to the visual clutter to be less. Okay? Auditory focus is quite simple. Anything, like put away anything that makes sounds. Get some noise canceling headphones if you can. If not, that's completely fine as well. Just play it through your speakers of your phone or your laptop. Of like some white noise or some 432 hertz beats. This is meant to help you boost focus. I don't know the exact science to it, but for me it has worked, and it's sort of like placebo. Might not be. I don't know. The third part is certainty windows. This is a very crucial part, and if you can master this, you will be able to study extremely well, even while studying for short periods of time. So certainty windows, what are they? They are moments of awareness. Now, before you understand what I mean by moments of awareness, you need to understand how much of your actions every single day is dictated by your conscious and your unconscious mind. Your unconscious minds are basically, let's say, your habits, basically anything that you do without needing to think. For, let's say, somebody who smokes, an unconscious habit they have is they would just maybe, I don't know, when they're alone, they feel bored, they're just gonna go have a smoke. For me, my unconscious habit for a very long period of time was I used to come back from school tired and I would just directly put on like a sitcom to watch, whether that's Modern Family or, let's say, How I Met Your Mother. I just put that on, and most of the time, like afterwards, I realized this. Most of the time, I didn't even really want to watch the show. I just did it out of habit because it was my unconscious mind dictating the decisions. The same way, when you try to, let's say, create a new habit, your subconscious / unconscious mind is telling you that, okay, we don't normally do this, and I don't really like this, so we're gonna go back to, let's say, scrolling on my phone because that's more comfortable. But it's your job to make yourself more aware, because you need to make yourself more aware that, okay, no, I'm gonna work, and there's nothing that's gonna stop me. And you need to consciously tell yourself that, as much as you think, okay, I don't need to consciously tell me, I don't need to speak the words into existence, but sometimes you do. The whole thing about affirmations, and you shouldn't like scream affirmations into the mirror every morning, didn't make that much sense to me until I understood this. Because quite literally, once you say something, because to say something, you need to consciously say it most of the time. And when you consciously say something, and you say you're gonna do X and Y, when you say you're gonna do X and Y, you're much more likely to do that X and Y. So understand that most of the things that you're doing is sort of programmed by your subconscious mind, and you need to take back control. And once you understand this, it will legit, like, these are all of these things that you can't focus on, or like that's trying to distract you from being able to focus, whether this is like, let's say this is like your attention span, and then maybe distractions, and then maybe it's too hard, or you might go, it's too easy. All of these excuses that you give yourself, they make way because you understand that it's all of this is just BS you tell yourself. This is just your subconscious mind telling yourself, stop doing this, stop going for the change. But you need to become conscious and say, no, I'm gonna focus for this period of time, and there's nothing you can do about it. And all of these excuses sort of go away once you sort of become conscious, and for a certain period of time, you just focus, okay? And personally, for certainty windows, use a micro mission, which is 30 minutes of specific tasks. Personally, for me, when I do this, to really maximize it, I only do tasks which are important and urgent. If they're both of these two things, it's very easy to get in the flow of things and focus much better. If it's just some things that I just need to get done, I will kind of brainwash myself into saying, this is urgent and I need to do it, and if I don't do it tomorrow, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to need to do it, and that's going to increase my workload, and I'll just have this whole like third, fourth, fifth, sixth order of consequences what happens, which basically, for the people who don't know, it's like, the basic concept of it is like, okay, you don't do this action, which leads to you doing this, which leads to this, and then that leads to this, and then that leads to this. An easy way to break this down, which I will explain right now. Let's say I decided to put an all-nighter. The next day I didn't drink coffee, or I did drink coffee, and I drank it at like 2 p.m. And then because I drank that, because I pulled an all-nighter, I needed to stay awake. And then later on I drank too much coffee, which is also like a consequence of this, leading me to not being able to sleep. And then I stay awake again, and I wake up at around 2 p.m. And then I wake up at 2 p.m. I miss school. That leads me to miss some classes. The missing classes leads me to be much more unfocused, and then that leading me to me being less focused leads to me feeling worse, and then that leads to another all-nighter, and then that repeats, and then this thing keeps going again and again. And if you can think about this, it's really hard to, I'll be honest, it's really hard to consciously think about, okay, if I don't do this, what's going to happen? But I recommend every single time you don't want to do something, just think to yourself, what happens if you don't do it? Just think. If you can't think that deep, what I recommend is just go till like, I don't know, the fifth order of consequence, and trust me, you're so much more likely to do it. Now, the easiest way for people to do this is, because like right now I gave you a really explicit one. Let's say you just have to finish, like, let's say paper one of a certain subject. What happens if you don't do this? You have to do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow, including this, you need to do another paper. And then including that, you need to do another homework. And then with that, what if you have even more homework? And then all of this is just going to make you way more stressed. And then you're just depressed. Like, that's an easy cycle for you to understand. So to conclude myself, the 3 sections to how I'm able to do a lot of things and how I'm able to focus. I eat the frog at the start of the day. I environmental fix, make sure none of these are there. I have certainty windows of brief periods of 30 minutes of specific tasks that I do. Now, if you want a full cheat sheet on how I focus, including coaching calls as well as personalized, like basically this video, which I just break down what my focus is, I will make down systems just for you based on your questions. Free community down in the link in the description, okay, as well as focus cheat sheet and a bunch of other resources that I've made completely for free. So go check it out. Bye.